When you read some of these stories, like, yeah, he was nearly as bad as Trump.
And
And it's ironic
and
that in
speaking,
all in the family episode, Archie Bunker goes, the song, right, goes about the good old days of the Herbert Hoover.
their LaSalle ran great back then, didn't it? That was
Right.
your old LaSalle ran great.
Anyway, so
But,
on the show.
On the show, yes, we are. It is once again time for everyone's favorite non-political internet radio show.
Insert title here.
The show that changes name so frequently, we might have already put ourselves into timeout with Dune. But
maybe he didn't hear that part.
Maybe he's tuning in a little late right about now, because we've got plenty of things to talk about, like the holidays and Christmas gifts and the season of giving, and if you don't have all your gifts right by now, you're in trouble. Like, you're really in trouble. Like, why are you not waiting online to make your final purchases right now? Because there's not many shopping days left. I speak on this topic with authority as someone that got his shopping way done in advance and finished up a whole 24 hours ago. So there we go. How about you, Brian? When did you finish your Christmas shopping?
Oh, wait a minute. Am I supposed to be... I should be done by now, right?
So your wife's getting air fresheners from the gas station, I take it.
That's what it is. That's a great idea.
You know what? I got the perfect Christmas gift for the missus. You get Uber to deliver some Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Oops. Something with the sun went away.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Oh, you're talking. Okay. See, I joined us on Twitch to watch, have that running in the background.
Okay.
So I was getting the delayed, and it was talking, and you weren't talking, so I kind of got confused a second there.
You got confused because you... Yeah.
Right. My sound really is working.
So
hello.
So your Christmas shopping is not done yet?
Yeah, it's done.
It's done. Yeah. Well, I ordered Christmas gifts for the missus, and I just need to wrap those up.
Oh, they had you wrapped?
Well, yeah, I gotta wrap. You gotta wrap your gifts, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's always more has the personal touch when you wrap them yourselves.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it right, you only need
getting Amazon to wrap it for you is not a good idea.
Oh, why would you do that? I mean, where's the fun in that?
I know.
You don't like wrapping gifts?
Well, I'm just saying. There are alternatives. This show is about alternatives, right?
Alternatives, yes. We are all about the alternative facts here on the...
Right.
No. There's no such thing.
Alternative ideas.
Alternative ideas.
New traditions are possible.
Yes, and speaking of alternative ideas, I hope Dune is listening, because I just got word earlier today that he has received his Christmas gift from me this year, and
you was tracking.
There's tracking, and there's
Santa tracking.
And there's all caps tweets is what there is there.
From the recipient.
From the recipient. Yes. The tweet came. Yeah, I'm doing work, and my phone goes bzz, and I take it out, and I see a tweet from Dune in all caps about him receiving something in the mail heavy and squishy, and I'm like, "You're welcome. Merry Christmas."
Yes.
so I can't wait for him to call in with his thanks. In fact, we should bring up Skype just to make sure. He can get through to offer his thanks. Oh, there's a Skype update. Isn't that great? It's extracting.
Of course there is.
every time I run Skype. There's
And then
a
when it
Skype-
does does the end to the finishes the update, says, okay, now let's reboot your computer.
Yeah, that's not happening. Plain and simple, that's not happening. There will
Nothing.
be no reboots. Okay, let's see. Skype.
Echo decided that since its wake word is computer, hello.
Which I thought you felt really smart.
Before you settle in for a long winter's nap,
Uh-huh.
be sure to make your toes tap. Just say, give me a Christmas wrap.
Should we do that? Did you hear it?
Why not? Let's hear her Christmas rap.
Alexa, not Alexa.
Computer.
Computer, give me a Christmas wrap. Computer, give me.
Rudolph, drop the beat.
What?
I didn't catch that. As a mouse. By the way, you can now ask another question.
Wait, do you have two of them there?
Enable this feature by saying, turn on follow-up mode.
What? Yes and no.
And like Cupid's arrow,
It was saying that I could do something while she's doing this.
Oh.
Computer, what day is today? What day is today?
it's Monday, December 21st.
Nope. No, she got it right. Wrong button. All right. So,
To all a good night. It's off to sugar plums in your favorite.
I still hear the rapping there.
Of course, she said there was going to. Continue.
See, that's
now it's
Christmas
done.
rapping. You can listen to some Christmas rapping while you do some
Yes.
Christmas rapping.
Yes.
But yeah, so I
You have to
now-
rap fast though because it's already done, right?
now the tricky part every year is figuring out a gift to get for the parents. And especially when one of my parents is, a stepmother who I don't know as well as my, I mean, I
Hey, I know. Give her something heavy and squishy.
I don't think my stepmother would. Oh, that's so wrong. That's so wrong.
Well, you
That's
could
so-
just say, "Oh, that was the that was intended for this friend of mine as a joke." Recover.
I'd like to get along with my stepmother, so
Yes.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna buy that. There's
Okay, so not a good idea. Hit
That-
the buzzer. Hit the buzzer.
I can't even go into why that would be so wrong, but that would be so
Right.
wrong. And I don't think that'd be a good gift idea for my dad either, because that'd be just so wrong. Anyways, no. So, well, here's the thing. My dad surprises me.
Yeah.
Mind you, it was my dad that introduced me to computers when he brought home a compact portable from the office in the early 80s. It was my dad that bought us our first family computer for Christmas 1986 with a wonderful Computerland BC 8088 with 640K of RAM. And it was my dad that also brought home our first Windows computer, 386 with Windows 3.1 on it. My dad has, pretty much most of the time had a computer on his desk.
See,
in
you have
his
the vision
job.
of the future in computers.
So I called my dad, and I mentioned to him that my aunt wants me to arrange some kind of a New Year's Day family Zoom call. And my dad's like, "Oh yeah, like your kids were doing that with your other aunt and uncle on Thanksgiving. Yeah, we'd have to get something that can do that." And I really was caught by surprise that, like, wait a minute, you do understand that this works with any type of computer or computer device that has a camera and microphone built in, right? And I thought about it more. I don't remember the last time my dad had a current laptop. I mean, he's got the desktop at the office, but generally he comes home, puts on the TV, and doesn't do more work and doesn't spend time in front of a computer once
How
he gets
old a
home from the
laptop
office.
does he have? I mean, laptops have had cameras for quite a long time.
I've lost track, but the only laptops I can think of that my dad had was he has a really old laptop that was probably running Windows 98 that he kept around because it had one work-related piece of software on it that one client still needs. And the laptop was so old that it eventually died on him. So he went on eBay, bought an identical model, had it delivered, put the hard drive in there, and got the operation back to do his once-a-year task that this client requires him to
so he
do.
pulled the hard drive and everything.
Yeah, he knows how to do. He knows his way around computers, so that's why it catches me by surprise when he reveals a
So he would be
technical limitation.
He would be one step ahead of Neil.
Oh, he's
Computer programmer, doesn't know how to put in a memory card.
Software
Or-
developer, person involved in the software development process.
Thank you.
Brian. How smart did you feel when you set the wake up word to computer? You thought,
It
oh
was
my God,
brilliant. It was brilliant.
you thought this was brilliant. You didn't think this through that far, though. How often do I ever use the word computer, being a computer programmer
Right.
surrounded by
Which at
computers?
this point, she can't hear you.
That was the dumbest word you could set it to.
Yes. There is actually, it's also very Star Trek-y, because they would talk to the
Computer, yeah. But now you can't
computer.
unless you want to.
Is thinking to see if that's the word or not.
Anyways, so
No, it did take it as the word.
so mind you,
Computer is close enough.
now
Enough, right? Right, close enough.
there was a family laptop that was actually my mom's laptop that was a Christmas gift for her one year. It was a Toshiba, and all I remember is at some point they had to bring it to a professional to clean up all the viruses my siblings got on it. And this is around the time I was living in Maine, so I couldn't fix. I come home and they're like, "Yeah, you be careful what you do on that laptop. We had to pay a lot of money to clean up all the viruses." I'm like, "You paid someone to do? Why didn't you tell me?" It's like, well, you're up in Maine.
Because when you're in Maine, coming back to New Jersey is free, right?
Right.
Doesn't cost them anything.
Well, I visited quite frequently, actually, considering that it was an 8-hour drive. But all I remember about that laptop is I believe I don't think it probably would only be upgradable to Windows 7. I don't know. It's right from that time period of
Right.
Pentium 4s where maybe it can go to 8 and beyond, or maybe it can't.
Right.
So the point is I don't know that my dad has a laptop. Now, my dad has a smartphone. He could obviously get onto a video call with that, but a smartphone's not the most convenient thing to have a conversation.
So for Thanksgiving, my family had a Zoom meeting, and my brother used a smartphone.
Right. It
and
works.
He
It
took
works.
the opportunity to give us a house tour,
Yeah.
and we didn't even ask for it. I was amused.
Well, I decided, you know what? Maybe a good gift idea would be to get my dad a tablet so that he has something that's convenient for, like, video calls if he wanted to. So I bought a Amazon Fire tablet and had it delivered there, and the box will be arriving Christmas Eve. And that's a good enough gift that you can give it to a couple. Typically, a tablet's a more personal device, but some people could share.
You
it.
didn't want to get him a grandpad?
I got no. However, I will say that when my dad kind of revealed, like, yeah, we'd have to get something that can do that, showing that he didn't really understand how video calls worked. The first thing I did was a Google search, Zoom for old people, to kind of see what the recommendation is to get people on Zoom that might have a little bit of that generational gap. But like I said, my dad, he knows his way around computers. He uses them every day. But there is a little bit of generational gap starting to sneak in
Maybe
more and
the
more.
smarter thing to do, of course, you would have had a thought ahead of time, is to get it yourself, install Zoom on it, so he doesn't have to do that step.
I only had enough time to order it and get it delivered on Christmas Eve, and I'm not traveling for Christmas, so
Sure. No, I got it. That's what I
And
mean.
this way,
You'd have to
he
have it
can
sent to
use it,
yourself, and then send it down to him.
and then he could use it on Christmas. So
Yes.
yeah. So I got to give him a call at some point and go, yeah, an Amazon package.
Now,
to-
just an email with a link to Zoom might get it to say, "Okay, we're going to install this."
well, then he's got to
and
set
it's
up
so
email
easy.
on it, though.
What?
But then
Sorry?
he's got to set up email on it.
Well, shit.
I don't know. And speaking of setting up email, we have the Amazon fraud department calling in right now. Hello.
Oh no.
Who do we got on the line here?
Motherfucker.
Hey. Oh, we thought you were the dumbass. We were playing that earlier.
No, we're the dumbasses.
No, well, of course, but this is the dumbass show, right?
Right. So hello.
You did know that I do moonlight
As
a Amazon. You can read it.
Amazon fraud and offense department.
Yes,
I've committed no fraud.
with my picture clearly displayed there.
Nice.
And this doesn't work for the people at large. I haven't gone through this much trouble in a long time.
Yes, you got a little Amazon picture on the icon there, and yes, you're So there's no fraud here. Where's the fraud, Mr. Officer?
Well, and the Finch department.
and offense. Are you offended?
Offended. I'm offended.
No offense. I thought you were talking about a physical fence.
A fence.
Starting
There's
with
a
F.
fence. Yes.
I was a little confused
No,
there.
offense.
Oh,
As in a big O.
Yes.
no.
Because I was getting more from fence to scaffolding.
I walked
Totally
out
lost here in
from my
conversation.
home office,
Uh-huh.
and I was handed something heavy and squishy.
I heard about that. That is awesome.
That is
And
great.
here's the
And
thing that we were talking about earlier. When you get that thing in the mail in that soft pack,
Yeah.
it's been used.
Yes. And our boobies have been squeezed.
Oh my god.
I have to say, I've got to give you credit. I never saw that coming. I would have never even imagined.
You would never imagine that I actually pulled the trigger in order to use your own pair of boobs.
No.
Yes.
And the only thing I can think of now is that I don't know when it'll happen. Could be a day. It could be a year.
That what? Johnny will get something in return?
I just saying.
I already have a pair of boobs, dude. I'm all set.
I
It'll be
understand
something
that.
else and it'll be really good.
I understand that.
Oh, I can't wait.
I may have to go on Craigslist and go through the personals later on, but we'll see.
Oh,
Wow.
man. Yeah, well, Merry Christmas, Dune.
I have to think. I feel bad now because I have not given you a gift. So
That's okay.
we'll just have to.
We're not keeping score here, but I think you're way in the lead. But
sort of.
Technically, revenge gifts can come anytime.
No. I mean, seriously, what can I tell a guy? I mean, do I tell people, hey, this guy gave me some boobies and I was offended? I don't know. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for.
Offended? No,
I suspect at this point, it's not the word offended at this point yet. It is shocked, and you haven't figured out what emotion actually is appropriate.
I just have to think about that time where I'll be sitting here in my chair, and one of the grandkids comes walking out with one of these. And then we have to have that discussion.
That's so. Has your wife seen the gift yet?
No, she has not. I did explain to her that these were stress balls that were shaped like something other than balls. And I think she said, I think the exact phrase was, "Oh." So, yeah.
And well, I made sure to address them to your radio name. So
You did.
I actually did address them to Dune.
It was one of those things. I looked down at it when I was like, wait a minute. And as soon as I picked them up, it was like,
Yeah, that was then
I
to the
mean, it
home
was just
rather than the workplace, correct?
it was, well, I haven't been at work for a while. So, but
Oh.
yeah, just like, it'd be just like, oh my gosh.
He didn't. He did.
He didn't.
Well, I mean, when they came here,
I send Johnny a record from a local radio station. I get boobies. That's what it is.
I think
That's
he came
my
out
payback.
ahead on that one.
Yeah, I think so. I got two. I gave you one. You gave me two.
Yeah. Well, when these came and they were so delightful, and especially the way they came in the heavy padded envelope, I'm like, oh my god, why haven't I already ordered doing a pair of these? And
Yeah, this is you have to have fun with this.
yes.
Sounds
At
like
first, I was kicking myself for not ordering them as soon as I ordered mine, but now this worked out perfect because they got them the week of Christmas.
I know it makes me want to just start buying them for everybody. I mean, why did I waste my time having custom masks printed when we could have been giving these away all this time?
And it would be almost as expensive as the masks.
It would be. It'd be about the same price. And oh my gosh! Now I have to wonder how I would fill out the customs forms for these things.
Stress boobies.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if there's a category for that or not. I'm not sure.
Well, I know that, typically when people send me burned DVDRs from Canada of totally on the up and up stuff that is not involving copyright infringement, that they typically come labeled as trading cards. So
Gotcha.
I say to the
Trading cards are
Amazon
not
fraud.
copyrighted?
What's that?
Trading cards are not copyrighted?
Trading cards are not scrutinized by the Postal Service, I guess.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I said,
Nice to know.
shipping stuff right now is crazy. I mean, I've shipped quite a few of those masks overseas, and it's amazing. The last picture I got of a guy that had sent me back that he got one, I forgot I even sent one to him. That's how long ago it had been.
Wow.
It's like I sent a couple masks to Banjo Girl, and that's been a month ago or so.
Yeah.
I think so, and it's still, if you go look at it, it still shows being held in the in Serbia customs. Now I don't know if they have. I think some of those places have a 2-week quarantine that doesn't matter what comes in, it stays.
That probably is,
and that's probably what it is. But it's just, I just can't imagine somebody in customs opening up a bag and going, squishy, round. I'm keeping these. I don't know.
Somehow it got lost in the mail.
And
Yeah.
an empty envelope showed up with a, sorry, this got damaged in transit label on.
Yeah, I am shocked they come in an envelope because you would think they would be rupturable. Is that a word? Rupturable?
Rupturable. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I
Are
understand what it
with
means.
sealed, or
I mean, you don't want to poke it with a pin. But
Yeah, no, yeah. There's sort of like if you ever had a Stretch Armstrong as a kid, they're not quite as, that seemed like that was more of a syrupy texture inside, where this is more of a thick water, for lack of a better term.
there's something,
heavy water, right?
There's something
Heavy,
fluid
yeah.
in there.
Yeah, it's
Heavy, squishy
yeah.
water.
Yeah, heavy, squishy water. Like I said, Stretch Armstrongs were more like almost like a heavy syrup. I mean, it was very.
Oh,
I mean, you could hit those things and they felt like bricks, but they were mushy.
and then once they ripped, you get this like gooey stuff sticking to your fingers, and
Yeah, that's what I heard. So,
yeah. So you heard.
I don't know. I never had one. That was actually before my time. I remember seeing them on TV, but not before my time. After my time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think someone I knew had one. One of my siblings might have had one, but yeah. But yeah, so yeah, these are. I tell you, they're great fun, and I'm glad it got there before Christmas because it was.
As I told somebody, I said I can put my toy categories as I was in between Hot Wheels and Evel Knievel wind-up toy. That would be right. I would be right in that section right there.
Right in that section.
Right in between there. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
That nails it.
Well, if I don't know if there's ever going to be a picture of said gift. We will see.
Oh my!
I'm not sure. We'll see.
Kristen took a picture of one of her creations holding one of them, but then she censored it with a image of a hat over the nipple. To keep her Twitter account family friendly, because she associates that with her Twitch channel, and
Well, yeah, that's the last thing you want is like all of a sudden, what's with the booby on the channel?
Yeah, but they're great.
But the
fun.
thought now I have to wonder. Like I said, that was the whole thing. Is do you leave these strategically placed on a table so they can be seen in the background of a Zoom meeting or not?
I say you do. I say you do for a work meeting.
I haven't done that. It's enough to get the questions of all the radio equipment. That's enough. Let alone.
Yeah.
I guess that would take the focus off of that.
Yeah. People
I never thought about that.
People would not notice any radio equipment. It would just be like, hey, what's with the boobies?
Well, especially if you're sitting there using said stress ball.
Yeah.
During this whole time.
You're there, just kind of, nipple out, going, squeeze.
Oh, that'd be interesting. I could wait till somebody asks me something I don't like, and then
start squeezing a booby in your hand.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of, there's something about getting a paycheck that I still kind of like.
Yeah.
So maybe little things like that.
The little things in life that make it worth living.
That's right.
That paycheck.
And Dune, there's always retirement is always something to look forward to. Just not prematurely,
well, it's not. It's nice to retire when that actually means something more than living in a van down by the river.
Right.
No, Dune, no van. The big orange truck down by the river.
That's right.
Oh, right.
That's right. The big cardboard box in the back. I'm good to go.
There you go. Yeah. You're all set.
Oh no, I'm getting kicked out. I'm driving to Boston. This is already happening. I'll be a big orange truck parked in Johnny's front yard.
I barely have a front yard, but you're
Johnny,
welcome to it.
I'm here with the scaffold and my clothes.
Yeah, that's right. What's our project?
That's right.
Project finishing the basement into an apartment. I think is the first project.
That would be the project. That's exactly it.
You're gonna have to dig that floor down a bit to give yourself some room to work with.
Little private entrance from the side. Oh yeah.
Well, how high are the ceilings there?
Well, I mean,
or rafters.
Well, the basement's kind of not that high to begin with. Not to mention that if you're gonna finish off the ceiling, then you're gonna lose some height there. That's having a finished basement in this house.
What are you talking about? 5 feet, 4 feet, 3 feet?
I've never measured it.
Well, can you stand up?
I can stand up straight.
Okay. Does your head hit the ceiling?
You're not quite 6 foot, but you're close to it.
If I go on my tippy toes, maybe I might brush the.
So it's slightly above 6 feet. That would be the answer.
Right,
but it's not hard there, Johnny.
But you start adding ceiling, then you're getting down to like 5.5 feet, and that's
unless, of course, you're tacking packaging paper on the ceiling, which is just the thickness of the paper.
Right.
I mean, what could go wrong having 3 different streamers in the house trying to share bandwidth? I mean, seriously, what could go wrong? This sounds like a perfectly viable situation.
Yeah,
I always wondered how people do that when they have multiple streamers in a house. Yeah, trying to do something like that.
The worst is the coworker you have to support that has the boyfriend that works in IT.
Oh God, yes, I can imagine.
I get this one end user that was opening up tickets every other day because she was getting dropped off the VPN, and it's like, well, my boyfriend works in IT, and it got to the point that one of our other techs actually set her up on a VM that we do not have the resources to set people up on VM, so it's like, don't tell anyone we did this for you. And he asked enough questions to find out that part of the problem was the boyfriend was setting all these QoS settings on the home router that he doesn't quite know how to set up correctly. And
What
it was
you
one of
doing
those.
that for?
It's one of those things where he starts asking questions, and the boyfriend starts admitting to a few things, and then starts being, a little kind of keeping to himself and more vague, but starting to look really guilty. It's like,
Well, it's real simple. What you do, you say, okay, where's the router? So there's this little hole. Go grab a ballpoint pen.
well, he's like, oh, I'll have to undo some of those settings, or I'll have to, but we don't know what he did at that point on, and you can't. So she's been our special little squeaky wheel that we've been trying to flood the apartment with grease to get them to just shut the fuck up.
Is that router one that you can save off the settings image?
I don't know. The other guy talked to him more and got him to admit to things.
Because what you do is you get it so it works, save off the image, and when the guy screws it up again, you hit that little button with the thing, and then reload that image.
Yeah. Well, anyways, lately
or change the admin password.
I think the easiest thing to do is just send her a Verizon hotspot and say, "Here, problem fixed."
Well, but that's a worse. That's. I mean, there have been times where people have could we just send them a hotspot if their home network's a problem? And I'm like, but then you're relying on a phone type of Wi-Fi. That's not a better connection.
It's amazing how well those actually do work these days. It depends on where you're at.
But it shouldn't be better than a hardwired connection in your home on a properly configured router. It shouldn't be better.
No, it shouldn't be. No,
but you can get a 5G one now.
So
my brother got a 5G phone, a cheap 5G phone,
right?
And he's connecting all of his devices to it. And at some point, if he finds that it's working as well as his cable, he'll drop the cable. And the only thing he'll connect
I'm curious to see how that works.
Yeah.
Apparently, 5G is wicked fast.
That's what I've heard.
Except that,
even if you're using Wi-Fi with it,
but its range is so limited that you're not likely to get the best performance.
It depends on where your pole is,
right? And not to mention when you're on the move, you're switching between different things, so you never. I mean, the technology only delivers a certain percentage of the maximum specs that you can get out of it. I mean, that's just the realistic.
Sure.
You gotta set your expectations right. But technology is evolving. 5G is going to be better than 4G. It's just not going to be as good as they promised.
I just wish we had some Google Fiber. That's all I care about.
Get some Google Fiber.
I wish we had that here, because Cox would be a thing of the past. Out of here. Gone.
Well, it's really weird. The big providers in this area are Comcast with their cable/internet. You've got some AT&T who just laid down some wicked wideband, not beyond broadband, wideband fiber. Verizon.
Yeah,
well, they're not even here.
Yeah, there's a lot of fiber starting to go down in certain places, especially newer parts of town. I've heard some stories of some people that had in some of the rural areas that had some line of sight systems that were pretty badass too.
Sure.
That were kind of cool, but I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yeah, we'll see.
Of course, in flatland, that's pretty easy. Right?
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, in flatland, you get longer distances. Like I imagine that I'm in flatland, but I have a ring of a row of mountains.
We're not encroaching on curvature of the earth, kind of thing, are we? Because we don't want to go down that road.
Sure.
We want to steer clear of that situation.
But your line of sight is probably 20 miles or more. My line of sight is less than 5.
Yeah. Well, in your case, what it is, you just have to plant something up on a mountain somewhere and point it down, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, right.
All right.
That works.
There's plenty of mountains around.
The homeowners association doesn't allow that kind of shit.
They might frown on little things like that. That's what you're saying.
Well, do they own all the mountains around the town? I mean,
no. You're talking about from your house, your own residence. You set
no,
up a
I thought we were
map.
talking about the provider puts something up on the mountain nearby that provides the town.
They're lazy. They run it along the highway, which happens to also be a fault line.
Well, where else are you going to put a highway?
What could go wrong?
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah, I live
They
in.
could put it on that. They could put it on that pier out there by where they store the pregnancy tests. So they can put it there. Do that.
If you're down there, yes, right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in the Bay Area up towards San Francisco. You've got these hills that
There you
are blocking all this kind of stuff, and they don't want to run a cable up the hill because some wealthy guy owns it.
Ah.
And
Yes,
it's a good source of mudslides. So if they dug a trench, then suddenly they're contributing to the mudslide problem.
Oh, well.
Gotcha.
There's no
Well,
shortage.
listen.
Go ahead.
In conclusion, so thank you.
You're welcome.
There, did I say that right?
You did say
Thank
that.
you.
There should be a little tone of question in that.
Yeah.
And it sounded sincere.
It was a sincere thank you.
Yeah. So Johnny gave me a Christmas present, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh,
It doesn't require. It does
Right.
not require a shot. There.
and enjoy and squeeze them in good health.
That's right. It
Right.
does not require any type of shot. So there we go.
Right.
All right. I'm going to bail out and listen now.
All right, catch you later.
Right.
Whilst you talk about your own boobies. All right. Thank you.
Bye. Yeah, they're right here, and they're spectacular. No, wait, what? Never mind. Anyways, so yeah, gift ideas for the holidays: boobies and tablets. Seems to be the gift.
Good idea.
The big hot items for the year. I hear the PlayStation 5 is quite popular, but you can't find one, so I don't know.
Well, that's typical. It comes out months before, a few months before Christmas. You grab together the interest. Everybody assumes that, oh yeah, y'all be able to get that. But
And
then
then
they go to get it and they're gone.
It ain't rocket science to figure out what the demand is and what you need to supply to meet demand and take all the money. But Sony and
Exactly.
Nintendo seem to fuck it up every chance they get. I
Right.
don't understand how these companies are able to be as incompetent as they are. It's as if they are trying to be incompetent.
I think it was one of the Xbox releases
Mhm.
where I don't know if it's Xbox One or it was 360, where they decided, I know, let's only make these for the U.S. market for Christmas, and let the rest of the world, suck off. That was not very popular either because the rest of the world also wanted it.
Yeah, that would yeah. Well, anyways, I was not actually interested in a PlayStation 5 anyways. I mean, the thing looks ugly. I barely played the PlayStation 4 we have. They still have yet to come out with a new Grand Theft Auto game. I think they're coming out with a new Grand Theft Auto
I
online.
just saw an ad for a new Grand Theft Auto.
But it's a new Grand Theft Auto online game that you have to have a online subscription to play.
Oh.
I want a new Grand Theft Auto story sandbox game is what I want.
Right.
And they've yet to produce that because there's more money in just not making a new game and just developing little mini games in an online environment and
Right.
letting people pay
They're
their
assuming
monthly.
that you have all the bandwidth that you need.
Right, and that bandwidth's not a problem. Here's the thing that pissed me off is that I bought Grand Theft Auto 5 for the PlayStation 3. I played the story mode, and then they opened up the online mode for it, and I played the online mode because the Grand Theft Auto online mode was free on the PlayStation 3 version. And it might still be. I haven't done it in a while. And so then Kristen bought a PlayStation 4, and she bought me the Grand Theft Auto 5 version for the PlayStation 4, which is the same game, but, upscaled for better graphics on the PlayStation 4. So I was playing that game. They fucked up the controls on it to make it more difficult to shoot people. And so I only played the story mode so far before I got bored of it because I'd already played this game through. So I went to play online. And in the Grand Theft Auto, in the PlayStation 4 version, they don't let you play online unless you have a PlayStation Online account and pay a monthly fee for that. And why am I going to pay a monthly fee for something that is free on the PlayStation 3 version? So I just fire up the PlayStation 3 and play that version. And it's not like the graphics are that much different between the 3 and the 4. I think they're more high def, but it's the same basic principle. It still looks very good on a PlayStation 3.
Yeah, okay, so they improved the eye candy, but that's it.
Yeah, they improved the eye candy. I think the other selling point about the PlayStation 4 version is because only people with a paid online membership get in, it keeps some of the riffraff out of the online game.
Maybe.
I think there's that kind of... But then again, they already had a way of dealing with that when you play Grand Theft Auto Online, you actually have like a behavior rating. Like if you go start sniping people and causing mayhem for no reason and just, because it's a sandbox, do what you want. If you want to start shooting people, start shooting people. But if you're trying to do something and someone keeps shooting you, that kind of gets annoying. So you kind of want to have some kind of politeness and treat people like you want to be treated if you want this to be an enjoyable thing. So, it's one thing to be sniped at one point in time. It's another thing for the same person to keep sniping you over and over and over. Because then what can you do? So because of that, Sony came up with a way to rank people's behavior so that someone that keeps like shooting people for no reason will have a rating that's a low behavior or a bad behavior. And then when you join online, they kind of determine what server you go to based on your behavior rating. So that way all the people that are, dipshits will all group together.
Well, no, they want to probably be with the like user anyway.
Right. That way, if you want to go...
They don't want to go... some want to go and shoot somebody just for the hell of it, but
then you'll be with like-minded people.
What fun is that? You want to get into a game where you're shooting at each other,
right?
Doing strategies to avoid getting shot,
right? So it kind of keeps like-minded players together, and that kind of helps. That way, if you want to actually like go into mission mode and try to do things without being sniped, you probably will have less snipers because the person that snipes you, they'll eventually be filtered out to another server the next time they join. It's not perfect and immediate, but it kind of helps keep some of the riffraff off of. But the point is that it was free on PlayStation 3. I don't know if they ever locked that down or not. At this point, will they keep the PlayStation 3 servers online when we're 2 generations beyond that now? But the new game they're coming out with, Grand Theft Auto for the PlayStation 5, it looks like it's just another online game. And so, in fact, I've not read much about it, so let me pull that up and let's review this. GTA 5 on PlayStation 5. Let's see. Well, it's still called Grand Theft Auto 5. I thought I saw something where they were branding it Grand Theft Auto Online, but I think it's still... here we go. Here's an article about it. GTA Online on PS5 shows us Rockstar's real priority now. It's a shift that's been happening for years. Although this article is from June, so it shows how far behind I am on what's going on. Sony's PS5 reveal, which began with Rockstar's logo, got people briefly excited, only for everyone to realize that the open-world developer was once again re-releasing their multi-protagonist action game, but for the next generation of consoles. Sure, There will be bells and whistles, with Rockstar promising technical and visual improvements as well as performance upgrades, but after a couple of generations of the same game, we're near diminishing returns on the new experiences that GTA 5 can offer, and fans know that. Rockstar's decision here is a no-brainer, of course. GTA 5 just had one of its best years ever in 2019, and with the recent decision to briefly give out the game for free, that player base presumably continues to explode. After all, the Epic Game Store couldn't even keep up with the sheer volume of people trying to download GTA 5 for free in mid-2020. Why stop that momentum just because new consoles are coming out in a few months? Tucked away in that bigger PS5 announcement was the news that not only is Rockstar bringing GTA 5 back, it's also going to be re-releasing MMO-like GTA Online as a standalone experience in 2021. Those who upgrade will get new updates and exclusive content, and the multiplayer experience will be free on PS5 for the first 3 months following its release. To entice people to start playing now, however, Rockstar says that all PlayStation Plus members will get $1 million in-game money every month that they log in to play GTA Online. While no specifics have been shared, these vague promises already sound more substantial content-wise than whatever improvements are coming to the main portion of the game. So that's what it is. They're coming out with a new GTA Online in 2021, but it's just a new GTA Online. It's not a story mode game. It's not a new game. I don't even know if it's a new map. Let me see if I can find any stories about the GTA Online game that's coming out. Let's see. GTA Online for PS5. Because inquiring minds want to know these things.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Oh, GTA Grand Theft Auto Online coming to PS5 for free in 2021. It's going to be a free game. Of course, you have to have a subscription to play it, so it's not really free. Damn it, no, I don't want cookies. Can you just go away and let me read this thing? Rockstar Games is bringing GTA Online to PlayStation 5 as a separate standalone game available as a free exclusive for the first 3 months after its launch in the second half of 2021. The standalone GTA Online can be claimed at any time during those 3 months, after which it will continue to be available for free to play alongside a PlayStation Plus membership. So it's a free game if you have a PlayStation Plus membership. Let's see. But are there going to be any new maps for it? What's the deal with it? You know, or is it the same map that we've been playing with Grand Theft Auto 5? I'm not seeing any real solid answers here about what the fuck it is. It looks like it's just another enhancement of GTA 5. So yeah, I don't. I mean, they're not going back. You know. It would be nice to revisit Vice City or Liberty City. I mean, it's really kind of pathetic when you look at the history of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. We got 3 separate Grand Theft Auto games for the PlayStation 2. 5 if you include the Liberty City stories and the Vice City stories, which are PSP games that were ported to PS2 as well. And then on the PlayStation 3, we got Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5. And now here we are at the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, both of which just got rehashings of Grand Theft Auto 5. It's kind of sad. You know, it's very disappointing to fans of Grand Theft Auto that you know, story mode and new maps have been discarded to just rehash the same old shit with online play. Not everyone likes online play, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I like online play because one of the things that was great about Grand Theft Auto is that it's a sandbox. You know, you got this map, you got things going, and you can just drive around and do whatever you want. And yeah, there are missions that you can play, and those missions contribute towards a story that unfolds and a beating of the game. but you could do that at your own pace and also just dick around. And to me, online mode is like, a way to dick around, but other people are dicking around in the same environment. I'm not all into actually doing multiplayer missions because I'm not good at them. I don't know who I'm playing with. I don't know if I'm going to be disappointing other people. I'm not a hardcore gamer. I'm a casual for fun gamer. So right. I'm not good at racing in Grand Theft Auto 5. I can get by, but you get me in a competitive.
But to me, okay, so like if you're into racing, then online is good because you get together with your friends and you do some racing and see who does the best.
Well, here's the other thing. It used to be that, if you wanted a game with your friends, you had multiple controllers and you did multiplayer on the same system. Grand Theft Auto Online, if you want to play with your friends, you're going to have to do it on different TVs.
It doesn't work in a pandemic.
Right. I mean, it works in a pandemic, but back when you would game with your friends, usually you came over and you gamed on the same couch on the same TV. If you wanted to play Grand Theft Auto Online with your friends, well, first of all, I think generally you're paired randomly. I don't know how to set up something that you can.
That was what it was nice about some games where you got the different computers on the same network.
Right.
Played that way.
LAN parties used to be a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Why is that gone?
Well, that takes a certain amount of effort, to bring computers over, but that was the thing you could do.
Unreal Tournament, some buddies of mine that do the SETI project, we got together because you could set up your own server.
Right.
So if you didn't have, where that server is, you're not playing. So it was just us. There weren't any outsiders that could screw things up.
Some of the guys that I worked with at Walmart back in Jersey, they two of them rented a apartment together, and which was like the floor of a house. Their landlady lived on the upstairs floor, and they rented the downstairs. So they had 2 rooms among them and a kitchen.
Well, they had the basement apartment like you're going to set up for Dune.
No, they had a first floor apartment. I don't know what was in the basement or if the house had a basement.
Oh, okay.
But they roomed together there in the first floor apartment, and they each had their own computer, and I think they had like a guest computer that was set up, and so they set up their own Unreal Tournament server. So that was cool because if I came over and hang out with them, the 3 of us could just kind of try to shoot each other Unreal Tournament. And I remember one time, first of all, they had all the custom skins, so I would always play as Mr. Rogers because there's something funny about the thought of
because you're a nerd,
because Mr. Rogers running around shooting people is a great way to have fun. And then we're on this map.
Get your friends to be children so you could shoot children.
Sure.
Sure.
So we're running around this map, and I come to this console, and there's this button. So I did the only thing that one could do. I hit the action button, which resulted in me pushing the button on this console. And I'm like, gee, I wonder what that does. And nothing happened. So I kept on going on. And at some point, my friend Rich goes, did you push a button? I go, yeah, I sure did. What does that do? He's like, well, that launches the nuke. We're all going to die. And sure enough, there was a clock counting down, and we all died. So now I know what that button does. I think there was
there was no code.
I think there was a bomb shelter hidden somewhere in that map that you could survive the nuke, but I don't. Man. I wasn't that good at that game.
I guess not. You're pushing that button. You're not good at the game.
Yeah. You see a button, you got to push it.
Right.
That's the rules of computer games. Whenever you see a button,
exactly,
you push it. But it's yeah, LAN parties were a thing. So I guess, someone could bring their own console over, connect onto your network, and you could play online together on separate TVs in the same environment.
Yeah.
But that's not as much fun as going a multiplayer Mario Kart with a bunch of controllers on one console. And that's kind of
no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
so.
That's
I
also
mean,
easier.
it's
But Nintendo had that kind of stuff where it wired really well.
and so that's why it's really disappointing what Sony's doing these days. I have no interest in the PS5, none whatsoever. The newest game systems we have here, we got a PS4 that I've barely touched and a Switch that I've not had time to even look at. And we bought that Zelda game on it. That's more of a sandbox type of Zelda game, and I was really kind of excited to play it, but I've not gotten around to it because it takes a certain. It's not like a normal Zelda game that you get in and you got a mission and you get the little triangle pieces. It's a sandbox that you got to start talking to people and figuring out. I don't know. I just haven't had time to start it.
Well, every game has a learning curve you have to go through.
And I've just not been feeling it lately.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, and you've been watching episodes of Star Trek. In shall we say, aired time date, whatever you call it.
Right. We're alternating between Deep Space Nine and Next Generation now.
So do you know what season Deep Space Nine you're in? Still season 1, or
we're still at the beginning because we're only watching one episode a week.
Of one or the other.
Right.
Oh my God, that is slow.
Well, we're in no rush. Besides, we go too fast.
One a week. How many episodes are we talking about in just those two series?
We've been doing one a week, starting with original series, and we're up to the first season of Deep Space Nine.
That's only 3 years so far, right?
It's been a number of years doing it, but there's only so many episodes we can watch of things. So what do we gotta do?
Go through Deep Space Nine, then you go through Voyager, then you go through Enterprise, which is only 5 seasons, I think it is.
Right. So
then you have Star Trek Discovery.
We've been watching Discovery because they're airing that on TV.
Ah, yes, of course.
So we have been watching the first season of that.
Like or hate?
It's okay. It's different.
I've only watched the first 6 to 8 episodes, and at the get-go, I hate the Klingons.
They really
the new look is different.
They took liberties there.
Spit screaming at you in Klingon. So, I'm here going to be reading subtitles. Give me a frickin' break. Okay, you could have started the scene in Klingon and then switched to, whatever language you speak. If it's being shown in
it's a native
Spain,
language.
It would be in Spanish.
If
it was shown in Germany, it would be in German. But speak the local language so you're not tied to the subtitles. Oh, because by the way, on a lot of shows with the loud bangs and booms around you and the vocal track is so low, I'm watching the closed captioning, which sometimes is overlapped by the dumb subtitles you put in. Your closed captioning crew screwed it up and put it in the wrong place.
Anyways,
just a minor rant there.
So this past Sunday we watched the 7th episode of Deep Space Nine.
Cool. I like the early episodes because Jake and Nog are young guys, and they're just out causing trouble.
I haven't seen a whole lot of that yet, but
there's an episode where they're in the upper level, looking down into the promenade. I think they can see Quark's place, and checking out the whatever's going on. And then there's an episode where they are making trades, and they invent the self-sealing stem bolt.
Okay.
And by the way, in Discovery, apparently there's a scene where they mention self-sealing stem bolt.
Of course. Well, it's always fun to have callbacks to things.
Oh, yeah. It's like, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
Because Jake and Nog have crates of the stuff still to this day.
Why not?
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So that's where we are with that. We watch those one a week on Sundays with our Sunday pre-Dune and Johnny show dinner.
So the H&I channel, which is Heroes and Icons, that we get, it shows Star Trek every night. They do a classic episode. They do a Next Generation, followed by a Deep Space Nine, followed by a Voyager, followed by an Enterprise. One right after the other. But then you get to one that's, let's say you get a Voyager episode that's part 1 of 2. You kind of go, oh crap! I won't be able to watch that until tomorrow.
Unless you find someone streaming it online.
No. And I mean, if you're sticking with the H&I program, of course you're going to go online and get it. Or, oh, that's right, you might even have the DVDs.
Well, the thing is, so we bought the Blu-ray sets of original series and Next Generation. Original series, they give you the option of watching as they originally aired or the newly enhanced graphics, and so I just stuck with
in the package you choose,
right. Well, I mean, they, you could choose which. The disc has both as they originally aired and enhanced graphics, and I chose to watch them as they originally aired because
okay.
I haven't watched them all before, so I wanted to.
So that prop doesn't look like a toilet paper roll; it'll look like a real.
I mean, they changed things, but I watched it original airing. Now Next Generation, they enhanced a lot of graphics, but they don't put both on there. They don't give you an option. So I've only seen Next Generation as it's presented on the current run of Blu-rays with the enhanced graphics. But Deep Space Nine hasn't gotten a Blu-ray repackaging. It's only available on the DVD set because it wasn't popular enough to warrant the budget to go back to all the original materials and scan them in high def. And
sadly, Deep Space Nine is underrated.
Kristen would agree with you on that.
Yeah,
Deep Space Nine's her favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Voyager's my favorite, but I kind of like Deep Space Nine better than Next Generation.
Well, to me,
in fact, to start off is that Sisko was a commander, not a captain. That was a mistake. I think they fixed the other mistake is a space station. Let's see, where does the space station go? Oh, it goes nowhere.
Right.
And then by adding the Defiance to the mix and elevating system to a captain, they fixed the show. But character like Jake, cool character. I can't think of a single thing he's done that I didn't care for. And I liked Nog as well. Quark, okay, he's an irritating Ferengi, but the Ferengi heavy episodes are just funny and different. You got to go with the Ferengi, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the original when we first see the Ferengi, at the first of Next Generation, these guys are just a bunch of assholes. Well, way improved. And then there's an episode a little later, I think, in Deep Space Nine, where Quark and I think his brother Rom and another guy end up going to Earth, but there's a glitch, and they end up in 1947 Roswell. That is hilarious. Very funny episode.
Well, see, for me, going back and watching Deep Space Nine is interesting because Quark is an alien version of the principal from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So there's that.
Well, did that actor play that role?
Yes. Yeah, the same actor that plays Quark was Principal Snyder in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
See, I wasn't aware of that. So I'll have to go back and watch some Buffy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that was for, I think he shows up in season 2, and he's around for season 3, and then at the end of season 3 he transforms into a big monster and tries to kill everyone. So
sweet, here, let's get rid of this character.
Or no, the mayor transformed into a, no, I'm sorry, I got that completely wrong. It wasn't Principal Snyder, it was the mayor of the town that turns into a big monster and tries to kill everyone, and I think the principal gets killed by the mayor as a big monster. That's right. It's been way too long since I've watched. I need to rewatch Buffy. Let's see. After Robert Flutie is eaten alive by the Pack, Snyder replaces him as the principal of Sunnydale High. A strict disciplinarian with a dictator-like personality, he has few friends among the students except the swim team. Snyder, along with Police Chief Bob Monroe, turns out to be one of the many people Mayor Richard Wilkins had put in place to cover up supernatural activities in Sunnydale. And he was hostile towards Buffy because Wilkins had so ordered him. According to later episodes, Snyder was specifically chosen as principal because the authorities believed he was uniquely suited for the job's equally unique pressures. So basically, he was aware of supernatural things and played a role in covering that stuff up.
So if you're thinking about watching Buffy, Johnny just spoiled it all for you.
I didn't spoil it all.
Kidding. I was just kidding. Just kidding.
Well, I did kind of spoil season 3, but
No, that's cool. That's cool.
It's
If
it's over 20 years old.
Cover the ear and say no.
Once 20 years has passed, you've lost the you've lost the right to go no spoilers. I remember when I was in college, which goes to show how long the whole hashtag no spoilers predates hashtags.
Yes.
Because when I was in college in the late 90s, I had a roommate, LeVar, that he would hang out in the IRC chat rooms. And he popped into a chat room he hadn't hung out before, and 2 people in the chat room started talking about a TV show that he watched that he hadn't seen the latest episodes of. And so he chimed in and said, "Oh, I haven't watched that yet, no spoilers." And so they banned him from the chat room. So back in the late 90s, that's how you dealt with people saying no spoilers. You just banned them from the chat room.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Yeah. We'll remove the temptation for you to even come back for spoilers.
That's right. Yeah.
So
come back tomorrow. We might remember to unlock you.
Yeah. Right? He's probably still banned to this day. Yeah. Anyways, there's nothing like a good band to help break you from bad habits, because I spent years hanging out in the IRC Sailor Moon chat room, and it was only by them getting so fed up with me that they perma-banned me for months that I finally moved on with my life and stopped hanging out in the Sailor Moon chat room.
That's right.
So thank you, Psycho Hawk and Ryosuke, for finally enforcing the ban gators. For giving me freedom from your horrible place of existence on the interwebs that is now a ghost town that only Buckminst and Panadero and Yillis hang out at.
Actually, you kind of think back to some of these old forums and stuff. Do some of these old guys still hang out there?
Like I said, I've actually popped my head back into the Sailor Moon chat room. My permaban has not lasted that long. And those 3 names I just gave are 3 people whose names are in the chat room, meaning they have computers powered on, logged into in the chat room. Now, I've said hi. No one replies. They're idling. There's no conversation. I've left my computer on for a week in these chat rooms. No one types a thing in it. But these 3 people that were regulars back in the day, and I know they're real people because they're people I used to engage in conversation with in the chat room back in the day.
But they're shall we say, the conversation is frozen.
For at least 5 years now, there's been no activity in this chat room, but these 3 people still log in and idle in that room every day. And I don't understand. At what point during a 5-year period do you not stop and go, maybe this is over? I
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not getting over it.
I mean, I'm not trying to, come from some kind of moral high ground or anything. I'm just saying it baffles me. I don't understand. I don't, hey, you want to do that? That's cool. I don't want to put anyone down, but I don't understand it. I don't understand what motivates. I would love for them to actually respond in the chat room so I could invite them to come on the show so I could ask them in person or over the phone. Why are you still idling in that chat room? No one said anything in there for 5 years.
Things like that in the chat room.
I have. They don't reply.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Nobody's still nobody's here.
I have tried. Like I said, I would pop in there, type a few things, idle in there for a week without logging out of the computer. No one replies. No one replies. Right. And no one says anything to each other. No activity. No ban. No response. No comment to anyone else. Just idling. It's like they're just holding the chat room because I almost feel like it's like if they all left the chat room, it would cease to exist, and then someone else could register it, and then it wouldn't be theirs anymore. And so it's almost like they're just holding on to it.
Is someone holding on to the domain?
Well, it's
you're not giving the domain by being there.
It's not a domain. It's an IRC chat room on a server. So it is registered to someone. But in order for it to stay registered to someone and be active, they have to be active in the room for so many days, or you can't go too many days without being active. It was funny because, I mean, in IRC, you can join an IRC server and you can create a chat room that doesn't exist, and that's your chat room, and you have ops, and you can give other people ops, but once everyone leaves the chat room, it disappears. So you kind of have to register a chat room to get a bot in the room that keeps it existing. And that requires having enough of a membership in a chat room to justify it. You can't just say, hey, I want this room, give it to me. You have to be a group of people. You have to be established a certain period of time. And I don't even know if this holds true anymore because IRC is so 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
But it still exists. And it probably varies from IRC server to IRC server. So anyways, the point is...
But you wonder how many IRC servers that are just kind of getting shut down.
Yeah, but, there's big servers. There's Sailor Moon is on the Undernet network of IRC servers. Now, there's not as many Undernet servers as there used to be back in the day, but there still are. It is still a widely active range of servers that exist out there. So what I do remember is in my later days in the Sailor Moon chat room, the owner of the Sailor Moon chat room moved on and stopped participating. And so she would not show up for 6 months, and then all of a sudden a nag topic would get set going. The owner has not been in this channel for 6 months. You have 2 weeks or we'll shut down the channel. And so they would someone would have to get word to her hey, can you log on and join the room? And to keep them from shutting down the room, to keep the registration valid, even though there were plenty of active people and it was a lively active room. The owner who had registered it was no longer active, and so at that point I think they may have transferred ownership to someone else. I don't know. By then I was permabanned, but I know that had happened a few times.
Right.
So it's an interesting thing. So that's where I think that the only motivation for these 3 holdouts is to basically keep it alive, to prevent someone else from being able to just randomly register.
Maybe these are super nerds. They have computers all over the place. And they just have one in the corner that's just on in that chat room.
Yeah, I don't know much about these people. I know Yillis is Canadian, and I know she got married at some point. I don't know much about Panadero, and I know Buckminst had a car until someone stole it and crashed it, and their insurance wouldn't cover it, and so then he didn't have a car anymore.
But he has a chat room.
I guess he's got mass transit wherever he is, and his real name is Curtis.
Right.
And he's never heard of Curtis Mayfield.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't get that. How can you be named Curtis and not know who Curtis Mayfield is?
There are mysteries in the universe that will never be solved.
That's all I can tell you about those three. So yeah, nerds. I think so. Well, keep in mind we're talking about a did we say nerds or geeks or what did we say? I forget.
Either way, nerds.
Either way,
I like nerds when you talk about someone that's just focused beyond.
And,
there is no external reality. You're a nerd.
We've all been there, so that's why we can use these as terms of endearment.
Sure.
But that's all I can tell you about the last three standing survivors.
If you want to be cool, you're a geek because you have knowledge and you're open to sharing. Blah blah blah.
Geeks
but
are cool.
Nerds tend to be inner focused.
I didn't realize there was such a distinction between nerd and geek.
Sure.
Huh. Wow.
We could Google that. Difference between nerd and geek.
All right, let's
see what it says.
It auto completes that. Let's see. Are you a building science geek, nerd, dork, or dweeb? Oh, wow. We got a whole lot to think about here now. Let's see.
Well, let's just try to focus on the two.
Well, actually, there's a little Venn diagram here that explains all.
You've got to share that.
Oh, yes. This is all right. Here we go.
We will be showing the Venn diagram of nerd, dweeb, geek.
All right, so we've got basically three elements at play here, and that is the element of obsession, intelligence, and social ineptitude.
See, I like that.
So a geek has intelligence and obsession. A dork has obsession and social ineptitude, and a dweeb has social ineptitude and intelligence, and a combination of all three is a nerd.
I never thought of it that way before.
So yeah, a geek.
So what I was suggesting is the nerd is heavy in social ineptitude.
Right.
And the geek is not, and this diagram seems to indicate that, right?
Yeah. I mean, because the geek is the intelligence and obsession, the nerd adds the social ineptitude to it. So yeah, you are absolutely right in that a nerd is a geek with social ineptitude.
But then you see the opposite of dork and dweeb, basically intelligence versus obsession.
Right. A dork doesn't have the intelligence
of that. Yeah, because sometimes the dork is just a fucking idiot, right?
Right. The dork's got the social ineptitude and the obsession, but they're not intelligent. The dweeb has the social ineptitude and the intelligence, but they're not dealing with the obsession. And the geek, kind of has it best there.
Yeah, I would probably character myself more as the geek, but I'm at the point where, if a person calls me a nerd, I don't really give a shit. And maybe that's the social ineptitude that I allow to sneak out.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't give a shit, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I think we learned something here that we're going to have to flag that.
We found a moment of being educational here is what we found.
Right.
I did have another Christmas gift story this year. Before I came up with the tablet idea of the gift idea for the parents. One thing I've often relied to many years as a gift. Back when I was still buying gifts for people, before people start telling me, "Hey, can you stop buying us gifts? We feel bad." And it's like, I don't think you understand. Whatever. it's at a point where I stress too much over people feeling bad about buying gifts that I've stopped buying some of them gifts. So I basically just buy my parents gifts for Christmas and my wife.
Yeah.
That pretty much does it.
Well, I forgot. I stopped exchanging with my siblings quite a long time ago.
Right. Well, the siblings
there was still gifts with the parents, particularly when I would go visit them. We tried to stop it, but my dad just would not accept that concept.
Well,
You got to still have a gift. It doesn't have to be expensive. A lot of times it was just a sweater.
right.
Or like we get a sweater and he's into Harley Davidson, so you get a Harley Davidson patch and sew that on there, and the guy's happy as a clam.
Well, here's what got me on the path to this is growing up. Our school might have Santa's workshop where you can buy little cheap gifts for family members. So that kind of made it easy because they were cheap and there was things for little boys, little girls, parents, things like that. So it was kind of easy to go to the Santa's workshop, do your Christmas shopping at school, and wrap a few little trinkets for everyone. And so, I kept up with that over the years of buying gifts for the siblings and for my parents. And then every year for Christmas, my grandparents and my aunt would come over. And so I always had a gift for my grandparents and my aunt, or my grandmother and my aunt in later years. And so at some point when I moved out and I was on my own, I didn't get home for Christmas. I had a precedent established of buying my grandmother and my aunt gifts because they were usually at the same gathering, but now I was just sending them gifts because that's what I always did for Christmas. And I realized, I'm getting to be an adult now. I'm buying my grandmother and my aunt Christmas gifts. What about my other aunt and uncle? That's also my dad's side of the family. I mean, that kind of shows some kind of preference if I buy this one aunt a gift every year, but I don't buy this aunt and uncle a gift every year. So at this point, I had discovered Sherry's Berries and sent, chocolate dipped strawberries. And so this was easy. I just put everyone's address in, put my credit card number in, and there we go. Send some chocolate dipped berries to my brother, to my sisters, to my dad and stepmom, to my grandmother, to my aunt, to my other aunt and uncle. And then I realized, what about my mom's side of the family? I've got an aunt and uncle on that side of the family that we see regularly, and I've never sent them a gift, and I'm sending aunts and uncle on my dad's side of the family. That's not very fair. That suggests that I play favorites with that. Not to mention I got a grandfather on that side of the family, and I don't send him gifts every year. You know what? So for a few years, I was buying everyone these chocolate dipped berries. And then my aunt on my mom's side of the family reminded me, did you not remember I'm allergic to strawberries? And so So Sherry's Berries also had the option for cake pops. So a few years I sent her cake pops. And then one year she's like, could you stop sending me Christmas gifts? And I'm like, yeah. We don't buy you gifts. Why are you buying us a gift? I'm like, you bought me Christmas gifts for many years when I was growing up. She's like, yeah, but you were a kid. I'm like, yeah, but it's so many years. Yeah, so many years you bought me a gift. I didn't do anything in return. As an adult, I can get you a Christmas gift a few years. You don't owe me anything in return. It's gifts. We're not keeping score here. I don't care if you get me something or not. But so many people are tied to this. If someone gets me a gift, I have to give them a gift. And so...
Well, and there's episodes of The Big Bang Theory where particularly Sheldon is totally OCD about returning a gift.
Right.
Kind of hates the idea of getting a gift because then I am obligated to give a gift. It's like,
and there is
the whole point of gift giving is just shot down the toilet.
Well,
right?
It's real easy to give a gift without expectation of wanting anything in return. It's difficult to accept a gift.
Look at the wonderful surprise you got from Dune after receiving the gift. Right?
Right. Now, but to get serious for a moment, I can understand the struggle of accepting a gift and not feeling badly if you've not done something in kind in return. There is, especially
sure.
especially if you were raised Catholic. You understand guilt quite well. So
Sure.
But no, I mean, there is a bit of this guilt that goes with receiving a gift without giving something in return. But I think a lot of us are very good at giving without expecting something in return. So it's kind of odd that, you know, people can go one way but not go the other way with that.
Right. But see, the thing is the sad thing about Christmas is gift has become an important part, and you kind of lose focus on the religious aspect of what Christmas is, because the gift has gone way beyond a gift of something that's needed. I mean, myself, if I need something, I go out and freaking buy it.
Right.
If I know somebody that needs something, I don't wait for him for Christmas to get him that thing.
Right.
It's all about what would Johnny or Petey or whoever it is you're on your list, what does he want? What would he want for Christmas? What is his lustful, if you want to put it in that term, desire to have? What does he really covet?
And that's where you come up with the boobies.
Exactly. Let's fulfill that sin, right? My men's group actually had a recent discussion, and we're not Catholics, of the 7 deadly sins.
Right.
You know, of course, lust being part of that.
Right.
But the big question is, are those truly sins? Those are commonplace. Yes, they're distractions. So maybe in that regard it is. Not that we're becoming, okay, we just, wave the religion flag here a little bit, right?
Right.
Everybody has their own belief, and maybe people disagree with what I just said, which is fine. We're not here preaching.
No.
We're just asking questions, something to think about. But, or if you choose not to, don't. Spoiler alert.
So the point is that many years I've bought a lot of people Sherry's berries, and then when I stopped exchanging gifts with the siblings, I continued to buy them for the aunts and uncles, and then when certain aunts and uncles start being like, "Hey, stop sending me these," I decided to kind of pare it back, and I stopped doing it, and I decided, you know what, I did this a number of years, I could just send Christmas cards, and everyone will love them, and I forgot to do that this year, but. Whatever.
Hey, it's not too late. Oh, it probably is.
It probably is. But when it was time, when I ran out of, it's like, what do I get my dad and my stepmom for Christmas? I don't know. I thought, well, I could always go to Sherry's Berries, order some berries. There we go. Done. Who doesn't like chocolate dipped strawberries? And
except for that relative that's allergic.
Right. But I'm not. But you don't want gifts, so
Right.
Well, I've just got to get a gift for my parents. So I go to log into the site. I can't log in anymore. I could not.
Because your login expired?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's I forgot the password, but then I do like the forgot password link, and it doesn't email me. And I talked.
Is that the Yahoo email that you don't use anymore? That they.
That the Yahoo email is what I originally signed up with, and I also had that account set to auto forward, and I also logged into that account to check if it went there. I did not get the reset password link, so I think at some point they did some kind of a system update and purged a bunch of accounts that hadn't been active in over a year or so, because it has been a few years since I ordered the berries from them.
So maybe it's a few years, yeah, because you wouldn't want to expire in a year because. It's Christmas the time I'm going to order, and you deleted my account.
But it's been less than 5 years. And mind you, I wanted to just log in, pick the address, and send it along. I don't want to sign up for a new account, enter new address, look up my dad's address again, type it all. So, yeah, they didn't get my money. Well, I tried to call them, but they wouldn't. Well, I did. Their chat support was all like, "Well, we can't access your account, so we can't do anything." I'm like, "Well, what do you even do? What is the point of a support that points you to a different support?"
Right.
They're
Right.
like, submit an email through this form, and someone will contact you in 6 to 8 weeks, and it's like,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Merry, and I bitched at them on Twitter and let them know why they didn't get my money and why I'm basically done with them and will never place an order through them again.
Get a spiral ham. Send the family a spiral ham.
I got the tablet is what I ended up doing. So that's how I got to the tablet.
Oh yeah, that's true. The tablet.
So
yeah.
I ended up spending more money than I planned on spending, all because Sherry's Berries
You didn't get
deleted.
a good sale on the Amazon Fire, whatever it's called.
Well, I got it for under $200, and it was a package deal that comes with a one of those charging bases. So yeah, it was, it was under $200, which is not
Nice.
bad for a new
Nice.
tablet. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one year I got my dad a Samsung tablet. Package altogether was in the $100 range, and he used a little bit. You'd have to prompt him to use it. He'd forget how to use it. It wasn't great. And now I own it.
I'm pretty sure my dad uses a Droid for his phone, so that should give him some level of familiarity to an Android tablet device, since the Fire tablets are running on an Android OS.
He's a total computer geek because he
Well,
he knows how to replace a hard drive in a notebook.
that's not that hard to do.
Unless your name is Neil.
Well, keep in mind this is a type of a laptop that has like a two screws stick out the bottom, and the thing just slides out the side. He didn't have to disassemble it to get inside of it to the hard drive compartment.
Oh, like this one that I'm working on. I think it's a Sony.
There are few people like Neil that are computer programmers that are completely inept at home computing.
Right.
But he's a rare breed. He basically learned programming.
Actually, no. What it is there's the old school programmer that worked on the big system.
He learned to trade.
And you only learn specific things. I worked for this other company. We brought in this woman that had that mainframe background. Hey, a PC is easy, right? Well, she sits down. She realizes she knows nothing about how to set up a printer. She knows nothing about how to do this, that, the other thing that everybody that works with a desktop computer or now a notebook knows all those little things.
Well,
how to get the sound card working? How do you get these apps working? All this kind of stuff. She learned programming. That's it.
Well, and that's the thing. Most people that go into programming are of a type of character that they're interested in technology and keep up on that type of stuff. But Neil is that rare breed, not that he's a one of a kind, but he's a rare breed that really approached programming as a trade, and that was it, and did not pursue other
I don't think
technology.
it's as rare as you think.
Well,
because I know I have met a lot of programmers. This is in the earlier days.
I think
a lot of programmers that during the day they're on their machine.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have one at home. They have no interest in it at home.
Okay.
Away from the job, they don't care. So they're very similar to Neil.
I would venture to guess that if you introduced me to another computer programmer of your same age, and I had to place a bet, is he more like you or is he more like Neil? I think there's a better chance he's going to be more like you than Neil.
I disagree. Actually, Nick is younger. I mean, Neil is younger than me.
Right.
Right.
But I think someone that was inclined to go to computer programming is more likely than not to be interested in other technology. Neil wasn't. I think it's. I find something odd about pursuing a career in technology without an interest in technology.
Well, but also, his family has a lot of engineers, and to some extent, I think he came to it from that engineering mindset. What can I do with this thing to earn a living?
Right.
That's a typical engineer, right?
Right.
I mean, an electrical engineer doesn't go home and say, "Oh, I've got this electronics project kit from Radio Shack, and I'm going to play with this until I knock off to sleep." Right?
I just think if we take computer programmers in your and Neil's generation range, and you take the ones that are technically inclined, the ones that aren't, it's going to be more than 50% that are more technically inclined. It's going to be more of a 70-30
even more
type of split.
I met a whole bunch of younger people. I worked briefly for IBM. They brought in 50 new programmers from Chico State. Chico State actually had a programming course involving SAP. That's why they were highly desirable. In less than 6 months, half of them had moved on. One young woman insisted she had this big degree from Chico State. I'm sure a lot of people have never even heard of Chico State. It's just a state college. And she basically says, "Well, I am management material." So they made her a manager. She was a lousy manager. She was not into programming. She, had the programming courses, not into programming. She wanted to be a manager.
Huh.
This other woman, young woman, I think she was smart. We had a class on this advanced level programming in SAP, and she didn't get it at all, and she wasn't interested. I got the feeling that she was working there, one of very few, that was there to get her MRS.
Well, it's funny. When I started taking, at an early age, I certainly developed an interest in computers. I found the compact portable my dad brought home intriguing and interesting. And then, the family computer, I liked, tinkering around on it. And so in high school, when they offered computer programming classes, I took them because I was basically at the point where, you're getting into junior, senior year of high school. You got to start figuring out what you're going to do with your life, because that's when you got to pick what to major in, which is such a young age to commit to a major that is supposed to make your career, which takes a large amount of money to invest in for a college education. So there is something to the suggestion that maybe we're making these life-altering decisions too soon. But I knew that I wanted to do something with computers. So what was the thing you do with computers? Well, computer programming. And, I did okay at computer programming in high school. But, as I got into college, then I found the music recording program, so I pursued that instead. But I took some computer programming classes on the side, and that was when I realized in college that I really didn't have it to be a programmer.
But even in your day, music recording involved a lot of high-tech equipment.
Right. It turned out to be a very tech-based program because, we learned how to record in an all-analog studio. We learned how to record in a digital studio that used digital tape, which really had a lot of the same principles as an analog studio, except that you're putting it down to a digital tape, and so monitoring levels is a little different. We learned some Pro Tools and editing, but we didn't have a studio that was set up to fully track to Pro Tools. But we learned how to use Pro Tools and how to do editing and things like that on a digital a DAW workstation. So it really was...
The bottom line in music recording, as with photography, is workflow. How do you get from the original concept into a final product?
Right. And there is something to learning with limitations before you open up the door to unlimited. But the point I was going into here was that, like, when I'm thinking about computers as a career in high school, I don't think help desk was as much of a thing as it was the same thing at that time as it is today. I mean, usually, there was people that, well, it's like Tharco. My role there was in the IT department, and I was the first line of defense for help desk, but my title wasn't help desk. Yeah. It was kind of a junior IT thing, but then as we got acquired by bigger companies, there's help desk, there's a ticketing system. It's more organized and structured.
Those are just different names. I mean, the
right, but
personnel department is no longer a personnel department, except for some really old farts.
But thinking about a career in computers when I was in high school, I had nothing in mind quite like what it ended up being. At that time, I thought it was, well, you learn how to program computers and you write code or you make programs or you do that.
Well, sure. There's a lot more to it, for sure.
And I didn't pick up that skill. And when I tried to take classes about programming, I realized that it really takes a certain mind frame and mindset to be able. It's one thing to learn syntax. It's another thing for it to click into, how do you accomplish this task in 3 lines of code? How do you break it down into to the most simple, because have this task, and I'd think, oh my God, there's like so many things you got to do.
Let's put it this way. Have you ever sat down thinking of a project like your house wiring project and kind of go, okay, I need to put together a project timeline with specific goals and milestones?
I'm not that kind of mindset person.
And in fact, sometimes in programming, there are some guys that want you to do that. They want you to use the whole project mindset. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Most of the things I wrote, I wrote an outline of the things I wanted the program to do, and then wrote the program around it.
See, that's the thing. I'm more a doer than I am a planner, and that's why when it comes to a workplace, I work better if there's someone else that's involved in the planning end, and then I could go do the tasks.
Now, one of the tasks that you do is set up computers.
Right.
Do you use a checklist to do that?
I do, and I have reached a point that I can build a checklist. I can maintain a checklist. But when it comes, like,
you knew where it would be altered. So, like the guy that's swinging a hammer in the back that uses a computer to log his swings, he doesn't need all of those pieces and parts. He just needs those parts to get his job done. Right.
Well, that's
whereas the accountant, has other programs requirements.
Well, that we got a thing set up that's pretty. There is a step on the checklist that is add additional software that is specific to that person's role, and that's where you kind of had the wiggle room in the checklist. But here's the real. Let me give the real.
Well, let me throw you one thing really quick.
Okay.
And that is a guy that preceded you at Tharco. He was told to use a checklist because this is how you avoid having to revisit the user because you missed something, right?
Right.
He basically refused to use a checklist because he thought, well, I'm experienced, I know better. See what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. When I worked at Tharco, I didn't use a checklist, but that was because I automated the process. And my Fong gave me a checklist that was so outdated that that only about 40% of the steps actually applied, and 60% didn't apply. And then there was like another.
Your automated method essentially is an automated checklist.
Right. And I could have added a checklist too, because the automated process had its own steps. I had created an image. So the software was already installed. So it was essentially, deploy the image, join the computers of the domain and name it properly, log in as the user and set up their email and stuff. I mean, it was
Right.
such a
Connect
basic
the printers that they need.
it was such a basic process that I didn't even need a checklist for it. But my Fong would usually get on my case to create a checklist, and I'd usually give some type of generic non-committal answer, and I got away with
the perfect
with it.
checklist. Let's just say it would be rather OCD, right?
Right. Well,
it would have to have all these exceptions about different users, different groups, et cetera, et cetera.
well, we've gone off on a really boring tangent, so can we get back to my path? Because
okay, yeah, where were we going?
no one tunes in here to hear about checklists. I'm just saying.
Yes, that's right. And something that we learned for this episode, nobody gives a crap. Oh, how many listeners do we have?
Now, I don't know if this main path is any more interesting, but what I was kind of getting to was my personality as more of a doer and less of a planner.
Yeah.
So we bought about 30 to 40 laptops to put all of our end users that are still on desktops on laptops, so that all like 150 to 200 employees will all be on laptops. And so, basically I'm thinking about, this team and that team only have a few people that need to go on laptops, and they're done, and they're pretty straightforward. So I start reaching out to them. I start setting up laptops. Now, meanwhile, like upper management is asking my supervisor, so what's the time frame of getting these deployed? And, and if you ask me, what's the time frame? I don't know. I'm just setting up laptops and giving them out as needed where they're more needed.
Right.
So, I'm jumping in there doing it. And in the past, I've had supervisors that are like, you got to come up with a plan. You got to build a spreadsheet. You got to put a time frame together. You got to get this. And it's like, I don't have time for that. I'm just going to build the computers. Putting a time frame together and a plan together is time that I'm not setting up computers. You're just
well, and you would have the way to say is, so what do you want this spreadsheet to tell you? Do you want it to be a list of users and who has been done, and do you have a pecking order on who gets it first? Okay, that's useful.
And
I got
the
3
answer,
pieces of information on there. I got the user, I got the date, and I got installed.
And that was something that was so frustrating because at Enernoc, we were having weekly meetings about planning the Windows 10 migration, where I'm like, dude, we just need to set up some computers and give them to the end users. We just need to do it. Why are we having these weekly hour-long meetings about planning it out? We just need to look at, we got this much time. We got these many laptops to deploy. If we do these many laptops a week, we're fine. And it's like, yeah, but what are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? What are you doing on Wednesday? I'm sitting at laptops.
When I was on this SAP rollout in Houston, we all had our roles. This was before I was 100% programming. Mm-hmm. I was doing some of the background stuff. But we'd have a daily meeting on essentially status. And the guy, he was just one of the supervisors, but they gave him charge of running the meeting. And he decided, you know what? I don't have a freaking hour to spend on this. So he invented something called the stand-up meeting.
Oh, I love this. Is one of my favorite things you've come up with.
Everybody would be standing. So if you had to go chatting, people would be looking at you like you're just an asshole. Shut up and let's get back to work.
I have made this suggestion at my current job and at my last job. People laugh at it. People like the sound of it. No one ever puts it into practice.
Right. Of course, in a Zoom meeting, it's hard to do a stand-up meeting.
Right? Yeah. This is post.
Okay, show your belly button.
This is a pre-COVID thing, what this is.
Right.
But
just kidding.
There we go. We could do the show standing is what we could do. I'd have to adjust the camera though, and get a taller mic stand.
Right.
And we'll stop that. All right. So, anyways, so what this has turned into. So just as I'm getting ready to roll out these laptops, and I'm like, you figure out the time frame. I'm just setting laptops up, And my supervisor, I have a supervisor now that he recognized my skills and my strength, and that I'm basically busy doing things, and so he's busy doing whatever needs to be done to let me do what I do. So
I I just came up with a good excuse to get out of a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and that is, I'm going to have to get off here because my wife or son, daughter, whatever you want to fill in that spot, wants to stream The Mandalorian to catch the latest thing with Baby Yoda.
That's a horrible excuse. Sorry, my family member needs to watch TV. Yeah, I don't know. All right. So, anyways, so that was
or my family member needs to do a Zoom meeting for her college class. So
I got these laptops. And initially it was like, well, I just need to deploy them, and I'm already kind of working on it. And then another member of management chimes in and goes, oh my God, why do we have so many people that are using the Citrix to run the remote desktop application and remote into their desktops? And I chimed back and I said, that's a non-issue. When we deploy all these laptops, they'll take the place of those desktops, and those desktops will be gone. And he's like, yeah, but people are doing this, and we're going to migrate the Citrix servers over, and now I need to know when all these people are off of that so that we can migrate those servers. So I'm like, okay, we'll prioritize those people as we deploy the laptops. All I need is a list of the people.
I do, right?
Right. And well, then he turned it into, well, we need to have a meeting. We need to discuss this. And then we need to, send out a survey.
We're already discussing it. Let's just get her done. Right?
So we had a meeting, and then they invite a BSA into the meeting. And I don't know what that means, but they seem to show up all the time now.
And bullshit organized. What's the A stand for?
That
bullshit
is
asshole.
The Boy Scouts of America, I think, is what that stands for. Let's see. I don't know what.
If it's backwards, it's the American Spaghetti Bender.
Oh, Business Systems Analyst.
Ooh. There you go. The person that invented analysis paralysis. So
this is a role that this job has that I've not run into in past jobs, or if I did, they were called something else. But so basically, this manager sends the BSA to go send a questionnaire out to all these people to find out why they're remoting into their desktops. And this was so predictable that I'm like, sure, if you all want to waste your time doing that.
By the way, Marco, do you know who the business analyst would have been?
Gordon?
True.
He's analyzing things.
Upper level. But Marianne would have been a business analyst.
Oh, okay.
But the good thing about her is that she came from the user field, with experience. Her field was customer service. So shall we say the BS didn't get past her. I get. So Marianne was basically a go-between for customer service and the programmers to determine what they need. Absolutely. She could understand the geeks and exactly. Well, I got to tell you, this BSA I'm working with, I don't know what she understands. Because every time she's giving a task and I'm involved with something, she ends up asking me how to do her job. Mind you, I don't work with her department. I don't report to the same chain of command as her. Right. I just make the computers work. So every time she asks me, like, well, what should I say in this email? And what should I be asking this people? What do I need to find out? I'm kind of like, why are you asking me? Go do your job. Here's the thing. I knew it was going to happen. She was going to send out an email saying, hey, why are you all using this app to work in this way? And people were going to reply saying, well, because that's the way I work. And so it was basically a useless exercise that was going to tell us nothing. People don't know why they do things the way they do. They do things the way they do because that's how they do them. I mean, half the emails came back with, is there some other way I should be doing this? The thing is, understand what they're doing and why they're doing it.
And I already understand a lot of that, and if I don't, it's something I need to go into one-on-one, because even though you might have similar roles,
you don't need to know that.
Right. All I need to know was these are the people we need to get on laptop sooner. Yeah. We need to get them off of their desktop, and some of it might be. So basically, she goes out, does this email, gets these responses, puts them together while playing 20 questions with me along the way, and then she sends the email off to the manager guy. So the manager goes, great, well, Jonathan, you use that data and you come up with a plan. And I'm like, this data is useless and I didn't need it. We just need to get them on laptops. But I can't say that. So I basically broke down the list of people by department, and it kind of was a lengthy, well, these people need this and these people need that. These people will be easy to do, so I'm going to start there in the next coming weeks. These people we got to think about because we're going to move them on the VPN, which is already kind of saturated. And so I basically sent a reply that didn't have a time frame and didn't have a deadline when I expect things to be done, and just had a whole bunch of details. So and that was lengthy enough that I didn't get a response to that yet. And my boss is perfectly fine with that, because he's like, you go keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm going to do. So I finally have a supervisor that gets me. I'm a doer. You're going to have to get someone else to put the plan and the deadlines and the time frames together. So
hire another business analyst to work with the business analysts.
The business analysts are useless to me. The absolute, but
I know. Get one that will do that job.
Now, here's the thing, and it does, and it says, and it has nothing to do with the quality. For example, Marianne, I'm sure she was great at her job.
She was.
My day-to-day job had nothing to do with her day-to-day job. The only reason we ever interacted was if we needed. Right.
She didn't have to go to you to figure out what she needed to do.
The only interaction between us would be, my computer's not working. Have you tried restarting it? Oh, thank you. Or, hey, you're here early, I'm here early. Let's gossip about Neil. That was the extent of my interaction with a BSA at Tharco. So they can't do anything to help me. No offense. Actually, no, Marianne did help me out a few times, though.
Yeah.
She gave me a ride once.
Cool.
Well, that was the time my car broke down at the grocery store, and I went through every phone number I had that was local, because all my family are on the opposite coast of the country. So I first I called you, and you didn't pick up. You were and then I called Neil, and he didn't pick up, and then I called Mai Fong, and she didn't pick up. So I had Marianne's number, and I called her, and she was also in Hayward, and it's like, my car broke down. I found someone that could tow it to an auto shop. She met me at the auto shop. We had to transfer groceries from my car to her trunk, and she gave me a ride to my apartment. So that was the most help I've ever gotten from a BSA.
Right.
But if there's anything more you want to say about a checklist now that we got the main path out of the way.
No, I think we nailed that. We chased everybody away, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice when you can have a supervisor that understands how you work and can basically go, you do this, someone else, because I've always had people that try to fit me into
one of my early jobs was a tech support job. Okay.
Right.
And we got a new general manager, and he asked me in, shall we say no, this was the annual review. He was a new manager for me. And his first words out of the mouth was, I don't know what you do.
Oh.
That was like an oh fuck moment. Time to be looking for another job.
Yeah, that's. But
I was, quick on my feet. I told him, hey, this is what I do. I'm doing technical support on this and this and this. Most of it is with customers. Some of it is with, people that buy product from us, and some of it's internal support.
A supervisor that doesn't know what you do not necessarily a bad thing, because if you've gotten by up to that point without him knowing what you do, you're doing what needs to get done, and he's staying out of your way. That's a problem when it comes to review.
This is true.
It's a problem if you want to advance.
But, well, it was a small company. There wasn't much room for advancement.
Yeah.
But also, the company was, shall we say, there were signs that it was failing.
Ah, yeah.
So
get out.
They were looking for the layoff list, and that was clear.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the job I had before Tharco, working at the bank in Maine. I had a supervisor that probably by the end of my time there didn't know what I did, but that was a unique situation in that there were different IT people, and they had like a system admin who was kind of in charge, a help desk person that reported to him, and then there was Patty, the person that hired me that I reported to, and she was kind of the system admin in the bank's core banking system.
Incidentally, traditionally, and I'm not sure it's still true, it may still be, the system admin or the database administrator, very similar jobs. Probably now it's network. It gets expanded. The role gets expanded. Can be the highest paid jobs there.
Yeah,
and they might not have the technical knowledge to do some of those technical things.
Well, I would think the higher paid system admins would have very specialized skill sets that they're hired for.
That's kind of what I'm going. Yeah, specialized skills may not know how to program a single line. No.
I mean, because a lot of IT doesn't involve programming. But Dale
administered the Unix boxes.
Right.
He could write a script to make it easier. His predecessor, I think, could not write a script.
Yeah, Dale was...
He would do this process totally manually. Every day it's the same thing. And that was pushing these reports out of the server to end user servers.
I mean, Dale was one
you
of those...
can automate that. The report shows up and have the program sends it out. The script send it out.
I mean, Dale was one of those guys that he knew how to do most of the jobs in the department he was head of. You know, he could handle that all.
Not trained in the programming.
Well,
what I was doing, but that's fine.
He might know enough to get a line or two in there, though.
I think he rarely looked at SAP code.
Well, yeah, but he probably had some programming experience.
Yeah, and he could have figured it out.
Right.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. No, but anyways, where was I going? So at the bank, Patty was the admin in the bank core system, and then the other two guys were system admin for the servers and help desk admin that was taking the help desk calls. So those are basically your three IT people for this, 7-branch bank. So they needed another IT person, and so they basically invented a position, gave it a name with the idea that this is a person that all of us in IT can just give tasks to help us out. And that was a unique experience because people told me, this is great. You're the first person in this role. You probably have some, sway to kind of shape what that role is. And I'm like, I don't know. Whoever I'm reporting to should really be shaping it. But so I kind of jump in there, and I started sharing an office with Patty, the person I reported to, and she wanted the job to be mostly helping her, assisting her with the core bank system, being kind of a secondary system administrator in the core system. But she also handed me off to the other guys to change backup tapes, which changing backup tapes turned into owning the backup process and completely changing the backup process. So I took over that. People. Then it's like, hey, can you help me out? So and so needs a receipt printer. So I started owning the receipt printers and maintaining those and making sure those are getting repaired. And then people started, oh, while you're here, my computer's doing this. I fix their problem. So then they start calling me directly anytime their computer has a problem. And I basically became a help desk person. And it was really funny because one day Patty was asking me, so what is it you do here? I'm like, oh, I keep things working, and I'm kind of, something goes down to give me a call. And she gave me this weird look, and she's like, that's not what I hired you for. I'm like, that's what I became. That's what because she was always too busy to train me on things she wanted me to do. So she wanted her office to herself. So she moved me into another office with the other IT people and said, just work with them and keep yourself busy. And I kept myself busy and made a job for myself. And then she got bitchy when the job I made for myself wasn't what she had in mind for me.
Right.
Because she didn't do it. And so Sparky Toaster writes in, that is what it morphed into. Yeah, exactly. So then we were at odds because my supervisor now doesn't like, she would come and try to train me on something and my phone would ring. I pick it up and it's like, I got a customer here. I can't print a receipt. And I put it down. I go, hey, can I interrupt this to go check? She's like, that's not really what your job's supposed to be. I'm like, well, there's no one else here that's going to do it, and a customer is waiting for a receipt. Right. So and that's an awkward position to be in, to tell your boss that you have to do something that's more important than what they want your job to be, because currently
should we ask Sparky Toaster if he put a fork in his toaster?
I hope he did. I really hope he did. That'd be a great story. Clearly he survived if he did.
Yes, good job. Maybe it was a job that he morphed into.
Yeah, he morphed into a toaster by putting a fork. There's a great video of someone that's being dared to jam a knife into a toaster. I was so sad when I found out that they faked the effect of it exploding, because it's one of those things that you want it to be real, and they did kind of a good job of it. But then people that actually know what they're looking at point out all the reasons it's fake, and it's like, oh, you had to ruin that for me. Let me see if I can find that video.
Trick when I was in high school biology class. You take the forceps, stick it in the electrical outlet. And this friend of mine did it, and his only regret was he didn't manage to leave the force. Is it fake? Is it real? Everybody wants it to be real, right?
Everyone wants it to be real. No, Sparky Toaster has never jammed a knife. Or says, I don't know if he's saying he never jammed a knife into a toaster, or if he's saying never jam a knife into a toaster.
Yeah, never jam a knife.
I'd like to think that Sparky Toaster is telling us not to do it and is speaking from experience, that, trust me,
so what we have,
you don't want to
rescue that toast that falls apart in the toaster is, I think it's made of bamboo, but it's like tweezers, but it's made of wood, so it doesn't spark.
You never want to never do it.
That's correct.
Double negative. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wait, you never want to do it. I think he's speaking from experience. Speaking of sparking things,
there's a point where you want to do it, and then you realize that you never really want to do it.
So I did some more wire work in the basement this past weekend because, one of the things I've turned my sights onto is the 3-way switch for the stairwell light, and
it goes to the basement.
Well, no, it doesn't go to the basement at this time. At this time,
this time.
Here, allow me to show you some wiring diagrams, and I'll show you what I think I have versus what I should have. And so let's bring up. Here we go. So nowadays, if you want to wire in a 3-way outlet, you have your light fixture over here on the right of this diagram, and over on the left on the top here is the 2-panel. So basically, you got your power coming in at one switch, you got your light fixture attached to the other switch, and you got a 3-way wire between the two switches. So generally, so for me, it would make sense to wire these switches this way and basically bring a line up from the basement to the light switch that's at the bottom of the stairs, and to wire the light fixture upstairs to the light switch that's at the top of the stairs, because the light switch at the top of the stairs is easily accessible from the attic. The light switch downstairs is easily accessible from the basement. But I think how this was wired, I don't have a line going from the basement to that light switch. I believe it was wired more like this one, where you use a two-way wire, and you connect the neutral to the light fixture, and you connect the black wire to the white wire of another line that's going down to the switch, and you connect the black wire of that line to the light switch, and you put a piece of black tape on the white wire, because that white wire is not a neutral, it's carrying the hot. And then that comes over here, and you twist that to another one that comes down here. So that's how you get power down to your first switch, and then you have travelers come between them. So that, I think, is what's actually happening on my light fixture. And that way, it's only being wired from the attic down to that switch, down to the other switch, and nothing going from the basement on that switch.
I take it before this project there were no switches?
What do you mean?
When you started this project, there were no switches to a light.
No, there are switches to a light. It's one of the few lights in this house that has switches. There currently is a three-way in.
Okay. But it wasn't working properly?
It is working properly, but it's got very old wiring, and it's off the knob and tube. So
you got to replace the knob and tube.
I got to replace. And I thought, well, if the wires that are in the wall are modern enough, maybe I'll just tie those wires into the new circuit. Well, I took the light plate off, and the wires that came out on the upstairs faceplate are old and fabric covered, and there's no ground wire, so there's no grounding on these light switches. It's on
the ceiling, right?
Well, in the attic is only a neutral and a hot. There's no grounding. There's no grounding on the upstairs.
Right, exactly. But I mean, the light itself is a ceiling light.
Yeah.
So it's not like someone's going to touch it.
But you're supposed to ground everything.
Yes, right. So it doesn't catch on fire.
Now, mind you, this type of three-way wiring is no longer the code as of 2011, because as of 2011, it's code to have a neutral and a light switch box, and that's so that if someone wants to put a smart switch in, they have a neutral to work off of. So so I could rewire it like this and not be to code and not care, because no one knows at what point those wires were put in if they look at it later.
Like you got a permit anyway, right?
Right, exactly. But the other concern I have
coming through, yeah.
But I have three concerns. One, there's no ground wires in any of this that's currently in place. Two, what's on the top light switch is a bunch of old fabric wires. What's on the bottom light switch is a bunch of not as old, like 70s, 80s era wires. So which means that at somewhere in the wall,
so the 70s, 80s is older Romex.
Right. Well, it's not. It doesn't have the Romex sheathing that's coming out of the box. But I got three color-coded wires coming out, and they are white, black, and green. So they're not even the correct color coding, because I can tell you that green wire ain't ground. I can tell you that. Right. So somewhere in the wall are wires twisted together, and I don't think they're twisted together in a fixture box. And if they are, they're in a fixture box that's not accessible. Right. So basically, these are so not to code that there's just no way I can reuse them. So I'm like, how in the hell am I going to run another line?
And what if at some point you wanted to put in a smart switch? Right?
I don't care about that. But if I'm going to,
what if you decided, you know what? It would be nice to say, computer, turn off the lights.
And I'll keep that in mind, but but if I'm gonna have to put everything in new anyways,
computer, lights on.
If I'm gonna have to redo everything and not use wires that are already in place, I may as well do it to code. And my thought was, well, I could easily get to the downstairs switch from the basement and tie that into an existing circuit. I can easily get to the light fixture to the upstairs switch to put a new line in there. But I couldn't figure out how in the hell was I going to get a line between the downstairs switch and the upstairs switch without tearing up the walls and the ceilings around the stairs.
Have you ever thought about this?
Well, Dune came up with a brilliant idea. So-
have you ever thought about this is just an interruption, right?
Okay.
Because I do that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever considered why do they call it a three-way switch? Because there are actually only two switches involved.
Well, there's 3 ways you can put them.
But people don't think of that.
Well,
It's
there's
two
actually
switches. And actually, what's wrong with having a single switch? You have a switch at the bottom that turns light on and off. So you turn the switch on, you go upstairs, you turn on another light, you go back downstairs, turn that switch off, because you got that other light on, and then you go back up. See, 2 switches are not needed.
Well, you're still using 2 switches, but now you're using 2 switches with 2 lights.
2 separate circuits, right?
Well,
And you've got redundancy.
Well, if I did that, I'd have 2 light fixtures next to one another, each controlled by their own switch. That's a dumb idea, Brian.
I know it.
I'm sorry.
Three-way switch has 3 screws. No
Yeah,
kidding.
that.
Yes.
All right. So here's.
That's brilliant.
So I'm talking to Dune on the phone. I'm like, am I going to have to tear this all up to get a line between these 2 switches? And he's like, well, go in the basement. Now, where's that? So Dune basically said, well, how are you getting from the basement to the attic? I'm like, well, I'm going up this chase through the chimney. And he's like, well, what if you pulled a line from the downstairs light switch into the basement, pulled that up the chimney to the attic, and then came down the attic to the upstairs switch? That way you don't have to, pull it through. That would take more wire, but I pull that through areas that are already accessible.
Right.
And that was brilliant. I laughed when he said that because I'm like, oh my God, that's so simple. How did I miss that?
Right.
Yeah, it takes a bunch more wire to be running, from the switch down the basement, up the chimney, up to the attic, over, back down to the top switch. But there we go. I can wire up this 3-way without having to tear up my stairway walls.
Right.
And Sparky Toaster pointing out that a 4-way switch has 4 screws, a 3-way switch has 3 screws. Let's see. Johnny, for lights, you really do not need a ground wire. Don't lose sleep over it. Well, like I said, my big concern is that I have different wires coming out downstairs and upstairs, which means that something is screwed together inside the wall that either is out in the open where you shouldn't be screwing wires together, or is in an inaccessible junction box. So yeah, and Dune came up with an ingenious plan that just, means I have to, run a whole bunch more wire, but it'll work. And the wire's not, and I have plenty of wire. So I bought 250 feet of 3-strand wire, which is actually 4 if you count the ground. So I basically went into the basement on Sunday to decide, well, where can I branch off of to feed that switch? And there's this junction box that feeds one of my downstairs outlets and the basement lights. And I looked, and the problem was that well, first of all, that junction box didn't have a cover plate on it, so all these wires with wire nuts are just dangling out of this box in the basement. And also, the light switch for the basement is still tied to knobs. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to tie anything to the circuit, we got to get these knobs off of here. So I pulled the knobs out. I was able to pull a string through from the light switch by pulling out the old wire and tying it to there. So I ran a new wire there, and then I took apart all my connections, and that junction box was being fed from another junction box with some really old fabric wires that were falling apart. So I ripped that wire out and had to run a new Romex wire between those 2 junction boxes. And the junction box that was coming off of the breaker box, I don't know if this is normal or not, but I look at this junction box, and this junction box is feeding things that are tied to 2 different circuits. And I'm like, why are 2 different circuits tied in this junction box? And it turns out what the guy did was he took a 3-way wire, and in the breaker box, he tied the white to the neutral, he tied the ground to the ground. He tied the black wire to one breaker, he tied the red wire to another breaker, and then he fed that wire into a junction box so that way he could tie things into that junction box to 2 different breakers on the same Romex wire. That works, but is that code? Is there a code against that? I don't know.
I can't imagine. Maybe when they wrote the code, they didn't think anybody would be that stupid.
Well, there's not. It's not. I don't think that is Sparky Toaster saying no. I do plan on ripping that out at some point, but I basically I replaced the old fabric and conduit wire to that junction box with a new Romex wire. So I've improved the situation, but I've not completely eliminated the situation. And Sparky Toaster points out that, yes, the neutral wire is holding the load for both circuits. Well, here's one thing, though. The guy used a 12-gauge wire between that junction box and the breaker box. So at least the guy had the sense to put a heavier wire on there to hold the load hold 2 loads on one neutral. But yeah, so Sparky here saying why not to do that? But I'm kind of pointing out, yeah, the guy cut a corner, but he compensated for it. I don't know if that makes it right, but that makes it better. But yeah, I will be eliminating that junction box at some point because a lot of things coming out of that junction box need to be rewired at some point anyways. But yeah, it's really turning into a piece by piece, and at this point, I mean, everything needs to be rewired eventually in this house. But not to mention, I take apart that box and I start moving things around, and then some of the fabric starts cracking off of some wires, and I'm like, ugh. So it's like, okay, all right, okay. I cleaned that up the best I could. I actually taped up a neutral, but that's the next wire that's getting replaced. God, it's not good. There are some old wires in those conduits. Well, that's the thing, is that those metal conduits, those jagged metal conduits, they can hold wires that are not that old. You don't know what's in them until you open them up. And in my case, a lot of those old conduits are holding fabric wire, is what's at a lot of it. So there was 14 going from the junction boxes to the place he ran the feeds to. Yeah, he's got a 12 gauge going from the breaker box to the junction box, 14 gauge going from the junction box to other things is what is there. I don't know that that's to code, but at least there's some logic there. But yeah, Sparky, you hit the nail on the head that he's got one neutral holding the load for 2 circuits. Meanwhile, Brian has a very important question.
Very important. I've been meaning to tweet that question to you for a couple of days. Not
yet, and that's because I've not had an excuse to get McDonald's yet. It's a little tricky.
You knew that it was out.
I knew it was out. Well, here's the thing. Kristen is on a vegan diet currently.
Oh, good, because she has something against plants.
Well, no, it's vegetarian vegetarian, vegan. Basically, her doctor said no animal protein.
Okay.
So that vegan diet's
easy. This is under a doctor thing. Okay.
Now, now Sparky points out, okay, somewhat he was thinking. Now, here's the thing. To be honest, I don't know who put in what in this house. I don't know if that junction box was put in by the flipper to tie a few things together easily, or if a former owner did that. Like I said, there's so many different eras of wire in this house.
So a different high school kid did it.
It could be. It could be. Right. Of course, that's the same junction box I put pictures of that has the ground wire poking out from the junction box wrapped around a screw on the conduit, which I've read online is, it works. It grounds things together. It's metal touching metal, but I don't think that is considered to be a very good job if you see a ground wire coming out of a junction box wrapping around a screw outside of it. Sparky writing in, so no chicken McNuggets for her if she can't have animal meat. Well, I don't know. There might not be chicken in the chicken nuggets.
Yeah, who knows?
And then again, for all we know, is there any meat in the McRib? We don't really know, do we?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's no bones in it.
The thing is, for a while, McDonald's had, not only the chicken nuggets, but they had chicken strips. The chicken strips were much better.
Oh, yes. I've gotten those many times.
Why did they get rid of those?
I don't know. That's one of those items that come and go. They seem to always bring them back.
And the other thing, like, my wife has spent a lot of time in London. In London, the McDonald's there had a different set of sauces that were better.
Oh.
What the hell? So anyways, for a while when we would order out, we would order Burger King because you can get an Impossible Whopper from them. Or, we might order... How does she like that? She likes the Impossible Whopper. Yeah. Yeah. I've been tempted to try it, but I haven't done it yet. Well, why do that when you can just eat real beef? Well, just try it. To try it, that's all. And the real reason for doing it is that I prefer Wendy's, and Wendy's is close by. There you go. Although we will stop at Burger King to get their milkshake because we do like their milkshakes. Oh, they do have a good. Sparky Toaster asking, what is an Impossible Whopper? Burger King introduced a what is it, like a veggie burger Whopper? A meatless. It gives you and the thing is I think it kind of works because a Whopper has a lot of things on it, and I think they still give it that smoke flavor. So between the smoke flavor, and Neil would hate that smoke flavor. Yeah. So I can't go to Burger King. They have that fake smoke flavor. I love that smoke flavor. I don't really care one way or the other. If they bottled that so I could put that on my burgers at home, I actually like that it uses that, shall we say, grill conveyor belt. Oh, yeah. There is that. It is flame broiled. You get less fat. Yeah. It's flame broiled. Yeah, and to me, I don't like the Big Mac or the Whopper because it has all that goopy sauce crap that I don't like. Right. Carl Jr.'s was advertising their, you're going to make a mess of yourself when you eat this sandwich. Well, that's a stupid ad. Yeah, and that's and I don't like because I like their Angus burgers. Those are good. I never care for their meat. In the Angus burger or the regular one? I've only I don't what Carl's Jr. Yeah. I don't I think I ordered something that was like a jalapeno burger or something. It was spicy, had jalapenos on it. Which burger meat was it? The regular burger meat or the Angus? I didn't even realize there was a difference. I know at one point I ordered the burger that comes with the onion ring on it. I think that's their standard burger line. Yeah. But it's a different line. It's an extra couple bucks. Uh-huh. Yeah, once in a while I get the regular burger, but I go, oh well, the Angus burger is a better burger. Yeah. That's all. Well, you may as well get the better burger. But I didn't realize that, so I didn't know to order it. Anyways, on that note though, we have reached, sometimes they call it the thick burger. But we have reached the end of another... No, we didn't reach the end. We missed the end. We've surpassed the end. We gave you extra. 29 minutes for free. Well, we were still on a roll. I decided we should keep going with some more, of the...
Insert title here.
And more burger talk. And
Sparky showed up. We had to talk about, wiring and all that. So, absolutely. So I've reached a point where I'm working more downstairs because I need to come up with better plans for upstairs, and I need to buy some more stuff. And I'm not going to the stores during the holiday season. But post-Christmas, I will be doing more work with wires. We will be doing more discussing of topics, and we will be geeking out on new Christmas gifts, I am sure. So a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Thank you for joining us this year. Although the year's not out.
We get to
'Cause-
raid, right?
Next week we will be back for our post-Christmas 2020 look back at the year. So be sure to tune in for that. And I don't remember why I followed this. I follow so many people that doing finds, and here's someone who is singing some tunes right now. Kay Balao, Kbalao, and she is singing some tunes. She's holding an acoustic guitar. So we're gonna go give her a raid and check her out. So thank you everyone for joining in, and
What did
be
we
sure.
learn?
What did you learn, Brian?
The whole matrix of dork versus geek versus nerd versus dweeb.
Yes, and I
Very
learned,
informative.
and I learned that Brian was already well versed in geek and nerd, and that it is better to be a geek than a nerd.
Makes more money.
Yes, that too. So thank you, everyone. We're gonna go raid K Balao, and listeners sing some tunes.
Right on.
And Sparky Toaster learned you could use a 12 AWG wire to feed two 14 AWG wires.
Right
I would.
on.
Yeah, you learned that from
Even
me.
if it's not code, right?
Don't tell anyone I taught you that.
Right.
Good night.
Right.
It takes me all the way. I want you to stay.
There we go. Rating with a party of two. All right.
We lost Sparky Toaster already, I take it?